So, good day everyone. I am Jeremy Pano, and today we will be tackling the chapter 4, which is all about teaching prose and dramatic prose. So, now let's have our learning outcome. So, at the end of this chapter, the pre service teacher should be able to adapt competency based learning materials in understanding and teaching prose and dramatic prose in literature. Right, so let's have this the opening statement, right? We have so this chapter highlights the teaching, understanding, and teaching of prose and dramatic prose in literature. So, by the way, this chapter focuses on two things: understanding what prose is and learning how to teach it effectively. So you're being prepared you're being prepared for a real classroom teaching. So, prosa oratio. So, our Latin words for prose meaning straightforward. So, it is verbally or written where speech flows naturally and writing in a grammatical way. So, prose ratio, it is straightforward speech. And unlike poetry, you know, prose doesn't use a rhythm or rhyme. So, it's just a normal grammatical language. So, think of it how you talk or write an essay, that's prose, right? So when you read a newspaper, a textbook, or a novel, you are reading prose. This is why prose is considered as everyday language. So prose is everywhere. It's not very special or formal. It is the language of daily life. So because it's familiar, students find it easier to understand that than a poetic language. You know. So why prose is easy to learn? So the language in prose is easier to read. Listening to and reading stories that are closely similar to the way we talk that makes prose more conversational informed. This is familiarity in language which helps build rapport between the reader and the writer. Right, so the prose feels like a conversation because it sounds like how people talk. Students don't feel intimidated. Right? This familiarity builds a connection between the students and the text, making learning more easier. You know. So prose is meant for language learning and comprehension development because when reading prose learners develop their reading skills, acquire new words, expand vocabulary knowledge and structure, and also promote proficiency in the language macro skills. So prose is a teaching tool. When students read it, they practice reading, learn new words from context, see how sentences are built, and improve listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So one text develops all four macro skills, right? So studying and learning prose not only develops students' language ability, but their reading comprehension ability as well. So it's a double benefit. Students get better at English and better at understanding what they read or what they read, right? So that's why prose is the foundation of most language classes. So now, as the most common and popular form of writing, prose is a writer's way to communicate with readers in conversational, straightforward manner. Writing prose allows us to communicate and pass on ideas, provide and disclose information, and or tell a story. It is a literary device where most writers are comfortable when conveying ideas or feelings. So writers prefer a prose because it's flexible. You can use it to explain, inform, or argue, or tell a story. There are no rules about rhyme or meter, right? So writers can focus on meaning and emotions, right? So now, as a future teacher, right? As a future teachers of the English language and literature, you must have a clear understanding about the form and content of prose and dramatic prose, so you can effectively design your instruction rather to ensure that students are taught the single and reading and develop their ability to speak and write in English correctly and fluently. So now, uh, we also need to know two things, what prose looks like and means, and also and how to teach it, like, right? So only then you make lessons that actually improve students' reading, speaking, and writing skills. And that's all for my part, and I hope you have learned from our discussion. And the reason why it is the reason why my presentation is short is because I'm in the introduction phase of the chapter 4, and Wendy and I are in the same chapter 4, or the introduction, which is the teaching prose and the dramatic prose. And yeah, and I hope uh, you learn from my discussion, and I'm very jubilant, and yeah, I mean that's all for my part, and I hope you've learned something again, and thank you.